All right, well, thank you so much. So my name is John Bernal. I am a student success advocate here at the University of Utah. My pronouns are he, his, and him. You might be asking yourself what a student success advocate is. Well, as a student success advocate, our jobs are to assist your students with their success and helping them reach their goals in and out of the classroom. So however they may define success, our jobs are to get them there. Just a few quick examples of what that may look like. So say maybe your student's goal is to get a B- in their math 10-10 class, but they need a tutor in order to get to that B-, but they're not sure where to find that tutor. That's something we can step in and assist them with referring to a paid or a free tutor. Maybe they're interested in doing research, like outside of the classroom, but they're not sure where to find those research opportunities. That's something we can step in and assist them with. Maybe it's scholarships. Maybe they're tired of working 10, 15, 20 hours a week, and they need some money to help pay for their schooling and their books. We can get in and talk to them about when to apply, how to write a personal statement, how to ask for letters of recommendation, that sort of thing. Could be housing insecurity, food insecurity. They also may just want to vent. Maybe they want to vent about their significant other, their roommates, maybe their parents, believe it or not. I hope I hear laughter in the background. That does happen from time to time, that they just kind of feel like they want to vent. But we're going to go into this a little bit more here in a little bit. But before we do that, I just want to, I'm going to share a quick video, and then my colleague Lisa will jump on here just a second. All right. Hold on just 1 second, I'm sorry. I apologize here. I lost where I'm supposed to be.
It's okay, John. Maybe while you're doing that, I'll introduce myself and just say hello. I'm Lisa Lewis. I'm also a student success advocate, and I use she, her pronouns. And we are lucky enough today to have one of the presidential ambassadors with us. Ian Bigelow's here, and he's going to take a couple minutes to talk or to share with all of us some of the things that he thinks have made him successful as an undergraduate with you. If you want to say a quick hi, Ian.
Hi, everyone. I'm Ian. Yeah, I'm here at the U. Lisa, do you want me to do that now or at the end?
Let's do the end. Well, let's do the deeper introduction towards the end.
Okay. Yeah, I'm here at the U. I'm studying Spanish. Great to be here.
Cool.
Awesome. Okay. So I think I got the this worked out. Hold on just 1 sec. All right, turn that over to Lisa.
Super. So, hi again, everybody. Just to give you a few more details about what Student Success Advocate is. We're all full-time employees at the U. We have either a master's degree or higher, and we're a pretty diverse mix of people with a lot of different interests and specialities. We try to be, though, generalists across the board. We meet with all undergraduate students along the way. And the approach that we take with the students is a real holistic one. We try to get them to know them as individuals, and we talk with them about just the many pieces of their lives. So, you know, this can cover everything from personal issues, social issues, financial issues, emotional or developmental issues, and cultural and ethnic issues too. So as you can imagine, our meetings are really varied and widespread about the topics that we cover with students. So a lot of times you might wonder what a meeting looks like, and a lot of times it just starts by asking them if there's anything they want to talk about today. But sometimes they may not know, or there might be some things that they're, you know, a little nervous about talking to us about. So we ask a lot of questions, and these vary from things like, how's the transition been from high school to college? What do you like to do most when you're not in school? Are you involved in any clubs, or is there any way that you're meeting new friends? How do they stay organized? How much are they sleeping? You know, and just generally, what are their goals while they're in school? These are the biggest things that we talk with students about. So along with that holistic approach that we take, John, I'll let you take it from here.
Yeah, so Lisa touched on the holistic approach that we take, but obviously within that holistic approach, we need specialists. So some examples of specialists, like faculty members, they're experts, they're specialists in research and teaching. Your academic advisors, they're experts in picking your class schedule, creating a plan to finish to keep you on track to graduate. Obviously, financial aid and scholarships is there to help you pay for school, so that's their expertise. So the university would not be able to function without these specialists. And as student success advocates, we refer to these specialists on a daily basis. Another way that makes us unique is, and what we try to do to make it convenient for students, is we don't have offices. So our backpacks are our office. So we meet students on their turf. So oftentimes a student may reach out and say, hey, can you meet me up in Gardner Commons? I have a quick question before my class starts. And one of us would come over to meet with them. Or they're like, I have a class over in President's Circle. I would love to meet with you before or after class and talk to you about what's going on. Or if one of them is like, hey, I wake up at 9:30 in the morning, can meet me up near the resident halls and we can talk about our whatever situation they're experiencing, we can do that. What also makes us unique is we're text friendly. So oftentimes there's students who I actually never meet, and I just have a texting conversation back and forth with them. Obviously, if the student texts me a question and it needs a super detailed explanation, I may just request that we either talk on the phone or meet in person or do a Zoom conversation to talk about whatever's going on with them, because I don't want to wear out my fingers by texting way too much information. Sometimes it's just easier to do that in person or over the phone or over Zoom.
Yeah, so you might be asking yourselves, like, so how does a student find an SSA? And I'll share with you one of the best ways to reach out to us, which is through our website. Let me share the screen here. So this is our, here we go, let's get back to the top. Here's our homepage on our website right here. And it's pretty simple. It's ssa.utah.edu, and you'll get to us. So let's start again by looking at kind of who we are. If you go here to the Who We Are button, it'll drop down to Meet Your Student Success Advocates. And if you look here, there's pictures of each one of us, along with our contact information, which is down here. Again, like John said, we're phone or text friendly. You can also email us. And if your student is trying to figure out like who they want to talk to, like maybe they want to try to find somebody who, you know, fits their personality. You can click on the photograph, and within there, there's a little bio about each of us that'll tell you a little bit more, so the student can, you know, have an easier time deciding who they feel comfortable talking with. So this is a great way to reach us. We also have just a general, if they don't really, they're not particular about who they talk to, they just want to talk to the next person who's available. You can click on this Contact Student Success Advocates here, and it just sends a general form out. And usually whichever of us has the next available opening, we'll pick that up and we can reach out to students there. So this is a great great resource for students to contact us. We also have something called drop-in hours, which you can see there's a link to here. There's also a link to here. And we have set up some times when we're just available for students to drop in and either call us, text us, meet with us once we're back on campus, that sort of thing. So if it's Monday and they're in a hurry to get some information, they can reach out to Iris here. You can see that she'd be available at that time. So those are our drop-in hours. One other thing we want to show you is this Tools for Success page. There's just a lot of great resources on here for students. And right now, since things switched so quickly to online, we've got a whole chunk of just transitioning to online learning information here that I'll just kind of skim through. But if your students are taking online classes, there's some great resources here for them to look at, how to plan and manage time, participation as an online student. You can see there's a whole lot of options there for them to look at. And we did put this up real quickly right after we flipped to online classes, but below that are a little broader reach for resources. So like under the section of academic skills, there's a whole thing on learning styles, mindset, there's even online classes here, but a whole bunch of great resources there. There's some basic needs stuff here, like housing, personal safety, finances, different learning disability information there, and personal growth here, stress management. So you can see there's quite a bit of information here for students looking for some resources. Let's say it's, you know, midnight and we're not available and you're not available and they're trying to find some information. This would be a great place to go. So that tells you a little bit about some of the support that we've got here. Is just if your student wants to know who we are and what we do, if you go to this home page and go down near the bottom, we've got another video available that kind of sums up what we do in just 2 minutes. So we're going to do that for you quickly here. So that's kind of a quick overview of what the SSAs do. I think the one thing we didn't mention is we work with all undergraduate students from freshmen to seniors. We're available to everybody. So we know that different questions come up at different times during your educational process. So we are available to students all along the way, and you can reach out to us once. You can reach us once a week. You know, we're there as often as you need us. Sometimes it's one quick question, and sometimes there's a goal that students are planning for. And so we set up times to work with them across the board, you know, like for months at a time. Sometimes we'll work with them for a few months and then they don't need anything for a couple of years, and then they'll come back and talk to us again. So it's a pretty far reach that we have. So that's the overview about us. And I'm going to turn the time over to Ian here for just a minute. He, again, is a presidential intern, which is a really great opportunity for undergraduate students to learn about leadership and higher education. He can tell you a little bit more, but I'll tell you real quickly that these students get to collaborate with the president and the administrators to learn about leadership in higher ed. And he's going to share a couple things with us that he thinks were key for his success as an undergraduate student. So thanks, Ian.
Thank you, Lisa. And I do want to say I call my academic advisors weekly, and I think they're annoyed with me. So I laughed when you said that. Like Lisa said, I'm a presidential ambassador at the University of Utah this year. Basically, what I do is I advocate for students on behalf of students to leadership in higher education. There's a cohort of us. There's about 8 of us. We go around to the different clubs on campus, different student organizations. We find out their needs and we communicate those to decision makers in the university and higher education. And it's very fun and it's very rewarding. I have 5 things that I think were key, that if I could go back and if somebody could tell me these 5 things at the beginning of my undergraduate, I would be very happy. So first thing is, don't overthink college. Don't overthink it. Don't stress out. You don't need to know everything. We tell ourselves that, but that's not true. I've changed my major more times than I can count. You don't need to know everything. You'll figure it out. If you have good intentions, you'll figure it out along the way. The second one is get involved. And not just in clubs, but in extracurriculars. Get involved with your teachers, find out opportunities to TA, look for on-campus jobs. That's the best way to, college is great. If you can make friends, it's even better. 3 is get to know your advisors and your resources. This one's critical. I meet with my academic advisor in person twice a semester. Well, not in person anymore, over video. And then we email about once a week. And it keeps me honest. It keeps them honest. It just keeps me on track. And it's been really helpful. They let me know things that are going on. They tell me about which classes. And just a comment about SSA. These people are here for you. This is a service that's provided by the university. They're not just saying they're here for your success. They are actually here for you to succeed. And if they don't, tell me. I'll talk to some people and we'll get it figured out. 4th is get a broad education. College is a time to challenge your worldview. It's a time to figure out who you're going to be. If you're going into STEM or business, take humanities courses. Get a broad education. If you're going into the humanities, take STEM classes, take business classes, open your mind as much as you can. And then finally, take care of yourself. Just take care of yourself, eat the right foods, get the right amount of sleep, exercise, and you'll be fine. And then I do want to add one last thing. From President Watkins sent out a letter a couple weeks ago about coronavirus in school. She said, "This is an unsettling time. It would be tempting to stop out, withdraw, and not finish classes with the idea that you will pick up your studies when things return to routine. That impulse is very understandable. My advice to you, don't do it. Put your education first. Make sure you're taking care of yourself and use all the resources, and you'll have a very successful time here at the University of Utah."
Great, thanks, Ian. So when y'all registered to be part of this session, some of you submitted some questions. So I'm just going to read through those questions and answer those really quickly. And then if any of you have any questions that you want to talk about during this session, please submit them through the chat box. All right, so one of the questions was, I realize these don't apply to everybody, like, can you have a mini fridge and a microwave in your resident hall room? The answer is yes, you can do that. You can bring your own refrigerator or, excuse me, mini refrigerator or microwave. You can also rent a microwave from Housing and Residential Education. Will students be assigned a roommate before school begins? If the students went into their housing portal, they can see about the roommate situation. Exactly how to get to that housing portal, I don't know exactly. So I suggest you just email info@housing.edu, and they'll be able to tell you exactly how to get to that housing portal section. Some parents or guardians have expressed concern that their student doesn't have a major. I wouldn't panic about this. I would use the next year and a half, 2 years as an opportunity to explore a variety of different majors. On average, students switch their majors 3 times. So even if you enter college as thinking you're going to be a biology major, chances are you're not going to exit out of here as a biology major. There's two things I would suggest on that. If you're an exploring student, is there's a class called UGS 1050. It's a major exploration class. It's a structured environment. It's 8 weeks long, and they bring in a bunch of guest speakers to talk about a variety of different majors, as well as do some assessments on what might be a good fit for you. And then if you don't want to do the structured 1 credit class, you can go meet with a major exploration advisor in the Academic Advising Center. And you can meet with them in person and talk about your situation. Another question was, somebody reached out talking about putting together an individual education program. So my suggestion is you speak to the Center for Disability and Access. They're going to be the ones that are going to be able to talk to you about your situation. Where does my student park their car? They should go to commuter services. There are a number of permits they can get and still live in housing. And I'm not even going to attempt to tell you which permit to get because there's a wide variety of them. So if you go to commuter services, they'll be able to help answer that questions. And then another question was, when can students start picking classes? So part of the online orientation this summer is they'll get a chance to meet with their academic advisor, and they'll be able to put some classes into Schedule Builder. So as long as they're meeting with the academic advisor this summer, that should be taken care of. Any other questions that have come up in the chat, Lisa?
It looks like there's 2. Can parents come with students to move in? So let's see, I think there's a move-in day, and if it's housing or if it's with the on-campus housing, if you check with, what was that website again, John? If you do housing.info.edu, is that right? Oh, you're muted still, sorry.
info@housing.utah.edu.
Yeah, there's usually a move-in day where you can come, and I think anyone who wants to help the student come to move them in is welcome there too. There's usually some folks to help with that as well, so you may just check that info page just to make sure about that. And a really great, another question, how do a handful of SSAs cover the 24,000 undergraduate students? That's a great question. Well, for one thing, not everybody takes advantage of us. So we usually, students get to choose whether they are going to work with one of us or not. It's up to them. They're not required to. And it's just if they decide that we're a resource that they want to use, that we're available to them. But we do reach out and work with a lot of students. Again, some students have just one question and we might meet with them once, but others will meet with several times over a period of weeks or months.
Another question we typically get from parents is whether or not the parents can reach out to us. Please, if you're concerned about your student, by all means, please feel free to reach out to us. If you just want us to do a wellness check and check in and see how they're doing, we're more than happy to do that. Just realize that if we do reach out to your student, we're not going to reach back out to you and tell you what we discussed. we're just going to keep that conversation private between ourselves and the student. But if you want us to reach out to your student, you can email, call us, text us, and we're more than happy to contact your student. Any other questions? I know there's got to be other questions out there.
There are, I believe, maybe someone from orientation can answer this more specifically, but I believe there are more sessions for students during orientation where they can actually jump on and learn a little bit more about us too. Orientation goes on for a few more weeks, and if you want to check for those, we may be able to, your student may be able to get on and learn a little bit more of the specific information as well. Oh, Madeline.
Yeah, so we have a lot of virtual events going on throughout the entire summer covering a lot of different topics. We have events for both students and parent and family members. So as part of your students' orientation in their Canvas modules, they can see a full list of schedules for those virtual events. You as parents can see them as well for students and parents. If you go to orientation.utah.edu, there are some sessions that will be really specific and some sessions that are more broad like this one. So these are a great opportunity to kind of learn as much as you can before school starts in the fall.
Thanks, Madeline.
So if somebody
Go
just
ahead, John, sorry.
So if someone just wrote in, if students want to take advantage of a student success advocate in searching for additional scholarship, is this something they should do close to opening of school, or are scholarships more available during second semester? So typically the scholarships that the University of Utah offers are usually between November and February is kind of the range. So a lot of it just depends on the college or the department who's offering the scholarship. But I would say I would start probably, in November, start looking on the scholarship website. And that's, I don't know the scholarship name or the website off the top of my head, but it's called Academic Works is where you're going to go to look for those. So when you're going to be starting but then they're going to apply for the following academic year. So it's not going to necessarily take care of spring semester. If you applied in this fall, it'll take care of next fall and next spring, because that's when those scholarships will be applicable, assuming you get them. We have another question about football games or Greek Rush in the fall. I'm not sure. I know athletics, the football players are meeting today. I think today's the first day of voluntary workouts. I don't know what that means in terms of football games, but I'm assuming they're planning on playing the football games. As far as Greek Rush goes, Madeline, do you have an idea about Greek Rush?
Yeah, for sure. So at the University of Utah, we have 9 fraternities and 6 sororities. Rush and Recruitment will continue this fall. They're still kind of hammering out the details of that. So if your student is particularly interested in being involved in Greek life at the University of Utah, I highly recommend that they register for our virtual event on July 28th from 1 to 2 p.m. because fraternity and sorority life will be joining us and giving us kind of a better picture of what recruitment will look like for both fraternities and sororities in the fall. And I'll drop that registration link in the chat box for those of you who are interested.
Ian has a couple of pieces of insight for picking a major that he's willing to share with us. Do you want to go ahead with that, Ian?
Yeah. So when I first came to the U, I was a statistics major. And this is mainly for like parents who are worried about students not having a major. I switched my major 4 times officially in my first semester. In the first 3 months of my academic career, I switched it 4 times. And then I did finance, and then I finally settled on Spanish pre-med. That's one of those things that you'll hammer it out. Take advantage of UGS. I think it's 1020, right? Or the major exploration class. Talk to the advisors. That's why they're there. They're there to help you find out what fits your skills and your interests. So don't be afraid to switch majors, because if you don't switch majors in 4 or 5 years, I'd be concerned. I'd be more concerned than if you switched.
Yeah, it's UGS 1050. So we have a question. How do you get in touch with a major exploration advisor? So if you go to advising.utah.edu, there will be a section on major exploration, and that's how you can get in touch with a major exploration advisor. And then another question, can newly admitted students get in touch with you prior to beginning of classes? Of course, yes. Feel free to call, text, or email us. Again, our website is ssa.utah.edu. You can log on there and read our bios and get our email addresses as well as our phone numbers.
And the question came up, if you miss one of these sessions, are they recorded to see info at a later date? Yes, they are. This is actually being recorded right now. And Madeline, do you want to talk about where they can find this later?
Yes, for sure. So once we have a session and it's recorded, and we take the video and we edit it a little bit, put some closed captions on there, those will be available on our orientation virtual events page. So if you go to orientation.utah.edu and click on virtual events, you'll be able to find them there probably about a week after they air.
Great.
Another question that came in, is it unusual to double major and be in honors? Will it be hard to do all of that in 4 years? No, I don't think it's uncommon for students to double major and be an honor student. Obviously, you're going to be extremely busy. So that's something you want to plan out well, and that's why I want to remind everybody to remind every student to meet with their academic advisor, because that's going to be really important, because that's a lot to juggle, especially if you're planning to graduate within 4 years. Come on, bring on the questions, please.
Yeah, anybody else have questions right now? We'd love to answer them. Okay, looks like we've got one coming in, a couple of queries. But I don't see the rest of that, sorry.
I do see a question in there about our orientation modules, and I'm happy to just quickly answer that. So in the orientation, there are modules. So basically our online orientation is split into 4 steps, which is first those online modules, second meeting with an advisor, 3 course registration, and 4 virtual events like these. Students do have to complete their orientation modules. That's a requirement. They actually won't be able to register for courses until those orientation modules are completed. This is the same as if we were having in-person orientation. A student would have to come to campus and attend an in-person orientation before they register for classes. So we just took that model and shifted it to a virtual format. Your student, if they have already registered for orientation and they need to check which date they registered for, they can do so again on our website at orientation.utah.edu. Students receive a lot of information in their orientation modules. They do receive some information about our student success advocates, and they also have access to all of our virtual event schedules that they can register for.
Thanks, Madeline.
Yeah.
It looks like there's a question about an international student and if there's online options or if there's not online options and how to manage that. And the office that you want to contact is ISSS, which is International Student Services. And they are, I think it's ISS, let's see, isss.utah.edu is their website. And you can get in touch with them and talk about the details of international students. I think that's your best bet, is to go straight to them, because that's what they specialize in.
So we have another question about, are there any particular issues or struggles that students have during their first year? I think in my experience of working with students, especially first year students, it seems to be like they're a little overwhelmed. I know that the transition from high school to college can be quite overwhelming for a number of students. Even students who were straight A students in high school, when they come to college, is just kind of a different ball game in terms of the workload. And considering a lot of times maybe you're only in class for 3 days a week, and then all of this, you maybe be in class for, I don't know, 12 hours or whatever it may be, and you just have all this free time. So I think it's really important for first year students just to understand that they need to know that like their first job is being a student. And even though there's a lot of social opportunities and different engagements to take part in, which they need to remember that their first job is being a student. So trying to find that balance of when they should buckle down and study and when they should do socializing. I know for me, when I was a student, this took me about 1.5 years to figure out. And once I did, I kind of set to myself that Sunday night through Wednesday, whether it was the day or the evening, I spent all that time studying. And then Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night, that's when I went out and had a good time and socialized. But it took me a while to figure that out. I don't know, Ian, you're a student. You might have some additional advice.
Yeah, John, what you're saying is you have lazy time, and that's what I have. You have to plan in time where you can really take care of yourself. The double major in 4 years, like you're going to be working hard, and it's totally doable. My biggest issue my first year was exactly what John said. I was just overwhelmed. It was like the transition from elementary school to junior high. You go from sitting on the floor to sitting at a desk, and now you're going from being in school all day to setting your own schedule, which is a big jump. And I never figured, I figured that out probably my middle way through my second year, where I had to just plan time to relax and take care of myself, and really just schedule my time, make sure every minute of the day is being used in a useful way.
There's another question about, do students see this information as part of orientation? And there are other sessions like this that are available for students to actually learn what we do. They're real similar, but they're geared towards students. So those are available for students as well. Another question about housing. Will there be changes in housing arrangements in the dorms due to COVID-19? I believe there are, and I would again refer you back to that email or the website that John had you go to, which was info. Sorry, John, what was that again?
It's the email, but it's info@housing.utah.edu. Also, the university has it's a website called returntocampus.utah.edu. I believe there's a section on there that will talk about housing as well and how those changes are impacted by COVID.
Right. And just to pop in here, housing is working really hard to make a lot of changes, and all of these changes are being communicated to your students via their U-mail, including like their move-in date, move-in time, stuff like that. So if you think that maybe your student hasn't been checking their U-mail or updating you, maybe just give them a nice tap on the shoulder and be like, hey, have you looked at your U-mail lately? And see if there's anything there.
So there was another query about international students and international standard time, like a standard time in different countries, and classes being oriented to that. And I believe most online classes are going to be set up in a way that the class information will be sent out through the system that we use is called Canvas. So it's usually posted there and it's available at any time. Students can access it morning, evening, whenever it's best for them. So if it's an international student, that would make it really convenient because they could get on during whatever time is convenient for them. And then usually lessons, due dates for tests and things like that are set within about a week's time period. So you can turn it in just before the due date, whenever that is. It's usually, maybe it's a day off, maybe it's a week off, but you've got some flexibility in that. So that works really well typically for international students, as long as they are like orienting themselves according to the time that the deadline that it's set up for, you know, in US times, in Utah time. So I hope that helps make it more clear. There's usually a lot of flexibility in how those online classes work though.
What are you parents excited about for their student? Is there any like anxiety that might be coming up in terms of setting them up to campus? Or excitement? And Madeline, there's a question that have come in. Are parents getting emails from the university? Seems that my daughter gets emails from the school and I feel a bit in the dark.
Yeah, that's a really good question. So most communications from the university, whether it's from orientation or from admissions, those are going to go directly to your student. Anything like concerning their record or anything like that, that's going to go directly to them. Parents might be receiving a few emails, but not many. What I would recommend, and I will put the link in the chat here, is we currently have an online version of parent and family orientation open, where you can receive kind of a lot of information that your student would be receiving. We are doing it in the form of a Canvas course. Canvas is a learning management system that the University of Utah uses to facilitate like classes online. And if you want to know more information or get kind of like the same scope of information that your student is getting, I would recommend signing up for that parent and family orientation. And so I'm going to drop the registration link in the chat. Parent and family orientation, again, is facilitated totally virtually. It's completely free, and it's something you can kind of do at your own time, at your leisure, and just kind of review information as you need it, which might be a good option if you're feeling a little bit in the dark about what's happening here. So I will do that now.
John, do you know about swoop in the spring? I don't think I know anything about that yet.
I do not know about what's going on with swoop.
Yeah, so Swoop Camp, unfortunately, this summer was canceled. All three of our programs, which is Adventure, Backcountry, and Base Camp. We're still working on if there will be any Swoop Camp programming in the spring. We don't know much yet because we don't know what the spring will look like quite yet. And our main priority all of the time is making sure that our students are participating in our programming safely. So even though it's kind of a bummer that there's no Swoop Camp this summer, there are plenty of opportunity through outdoor adventures to get to know kind of this outdoor landscape that Utah has to offer.
Thanks, Madeline. It's good to know. Any other questions or comments at this point?
Yeah, there's been a couple of questions in terms of, you know, they're hoping for in-person classes and how the university is handling the COVID-19 situation. So again, I would just encourage you to kind of go to that website, returntocampus.utah.edu, because that's going to have a lot of updates on how the university is handling the COVID situation, what in-person classes will look like going forward, what the hybrid classes will look like, and so on. Also, face masks will be, face coverings will be required, just everybody knows that, so they won't be surprised about that. And if a student doesn't have one, the university will be able to provide one for the student. Any other questions that people have? And again, feel free to reach out to Lisa and myself. We're more than happy to answer any questions and encourage your student to also reach out to us, whether it's this summer or in the fall or the spring. We want to make sure that they're successful and they're happy and they're having a good experience at the university. And we want to make sure that we're plugging them into different resources and opportunities and programs. I know when I was 18 to 22 years old, it was the best time of my life in terms of, it was the only time in life that so many people wanted to see me be successful. And it seems like once I graduated in the real world, people were still at my camp and wanted to see me be successful, but it wasn't like when I was in college where I had so many different mentors and professors and other staff on campus who were in my corner wanting me to be successful. So I think that's such a unique time, is when you're in college and those people are right in your corner and wanting to see you be successful. So please encourage your students to reach out to us, to professors, to other staff members on campus, to get involved, because it will make a huge difference, not just in their undergraduate experience, but also when they leave the university.
And those concerns that you have about, like someone just mentioned, like students falling through the cracks or missing deadlines and things like that, the more that they can possibly reach out, even just to one person, even just to an SSA, to help them stay organized and get connected with other people and start to build that team for themselves. That's a really, really great tool. They can just reach out to even one person who can help them start to get connected. And so they kind of make that adjustment, and know how to manage their time and stay on the schedule, keep in contact with their professors, things like that. Really important.
Yeah, that parent mentioned about their concern about their child missing some key deadlines. One thing that ASUU has done in the past, and I imagine they'll be doing moving forward, is they hand out day planners to every student. And I sit down with students multiple times during the semester, and they take out their syllabus, and I have them write down in their day planner the due dates for every single assignment, when their exams are going to take place, when they might have a quiz, whenever they have a big paper coming up, when they need to take advantage of the writing center and make an appointment to have their paper reviewed before they submit it. I would just encourage them to get into the habit early of using a day planner, whether it's something that they write down or something they put into their smartphone or some other way of keeping organized. And that's something that Lisa and myself are happy to sit down with students and talk with about how to stay organized. And please know that what way worked for me may not work for Lisa, and so on. So it's not like we have the one way that works for everyone. We have 4 or 5 different ideas on what might work for students, and it's just going to be a process for students to work through that and figure out what works best for them to stay organized.
Well, okay, everyone. We're happy to take more questions or comments if you've got them. Any other ideas? We've got about 10 more minutes left. So we can end early if everybody's done.
Yeah, we know everybody has busy lives and they need to go back to work or whatever else they're doing.
Sure.
Yeah. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us.
Yeah, okay. Well, thanks, everybody.
Yeah, thank you so much.
We're
Take
super
care.
excited to like see your student in the fall, whether it's virtually or in person. We're super excited to welcome them to the U.
Yep,
Thank
we're looking forward to fall semester, everybody.
Bye-bye.